Hi, welcome back to Fortunate Beauty. Today, I wanted to talk about depression amongst Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. One of my viewers, just mentioned that his ex-wife became a victim of suicide. She committed suicide as a member of the Jehovah's Witness organization. And then I started thinking, like, I went through periods of depression. And there were two people that I knew when I was in the Jehovah's Witness organization that committed suicide. One was someone that I didn't know very well, but he was a Jehovah's Witness and he was an accountant. So every April, he would come and do my mom's taxes for her. He would like fill out the forms. So we knew who he was. He did the taxes for many people in our congregation. So we saw him once a year. So one day we go to the Kingdom Hall and we hear that this man, who was a handsome man, a successful accountant, they lived in a nice part of Philadelphia, him and his wife, and they had two teenage sons, that he had committed suicide. He hung himself in his garage. Oh my gosh, how tragic for his wife, for his family, but how sad must this man have been to do this? And then the other person I knew was actually an elder in my congregation. He was an elder in our congregation for a very short time. He came to our congregation, he was maybe in his 40s, and he declared that he was one of the 144,000. It was just him and his wife. I don't remember if they had any children. Um, but they were not warmly welcomed into our congregation. I remember that people were ridiculing him because he said he was a part of the 144,000, and he was different. Like, he was very jovial. I remember being out in field service with him and him just being really friendly. Like, I remember liking him, and my mom liked him too. His wife was very quiet. Well, apparently, this poor man had some type of psychiatric break. He was running up and at one time he was running up and down a main street, um, not dressed. Like, how sad. Nobody was sad. All they did was just like talk about him, like, did you hear? Did you hear this? Obviously the man had mental issues that weren't being addressed. And then he didn't, after that whole psychiatric break, I don't know exactly if he was in a hospital, whatever. But then after that, not so long after that, we heard that the man committed suicide. So, I mean, I can see how you can get to that point, but I want you to hold on. I want you to seek help. Now, let me tell you, when I tried to seek help, it didn't go well. So after I was disfellowshipped, so I decided to go and see a therapist. So I went to see this therapist, and when I went in to talk to her and just tell her what happened, I was left my church. I told her, I think I just told her I left my church and now I'm really sad, and I want to talk about it. Well, this psychiatrist obviously had no experience in dealing with people with religious abuse or cults, which I didn't know to look for that. So she told me, I just think you need to go and make some new friends. It seems like you have everything going for you. Um, so you need to just go make some new friends. Okay. Ex Jehovah's Witnesses, you will feel me. Who are you going to be with your friends? When you go into that religion as a Jehovah's Witness, you are encouraged to cut everyone else off. The Jehovah Witnesses refer to everyone that is not a Jehovah Witness as worldly. You are encouraged to have as little contact with worldly people as possible because they will entangle you in snares and make you do wicked things. We decide what we're going to do. We decide if we're going to do wicked things. You can't blame other people for your actions. But that was the whole fear thing. Don't be around people. So I had alienated. I didn't have close friends that were neighbors. I didn't have, my family did not live in state, but it wasn't like I was talking to them on the phone all the time because primarily what we talked about as Jehovah's Witnesses was Jehovah, each other. That's that. And depressed, like talking about how bad, watching the news, everything was just sad, waiting for the end of the world to come. So I hadn't built relationships. I had never been in clubs. Like in school, I didn't join in elementary, what is it called? High school, I didn't join clubs. College, I didn't join clubs. Sorority, I didn't do any of that because it was worldly. So where was I supposed to get some friends? So this psychiatrist or psychologist was just, she didn't understand. So if you're feeling depressed, suicidal, look for someone that understands what this type of mental trauma is, because just because they're a psychologist does not mean that they will understand what it's like to be disfellowshipped. So then I still was being sad. I kind of was hiding it from my husband because he couldn't understand it. He was like a cut and dry type of dude. They don't like you, then you like them less. It wasn't that easy. So, but I had to start like on a path of healing. So then I looked into group therapy, and it was for just depression. It wasn't for any specific like a lot. Like now they have groups where it's like you come to this grief group if you've lost a child, if you've been assaulted, like different groups. They didn't have that, or I didn't know about it. So I just went to a group for depression. So I felt like I went there maybe two times. All we did was talk about, again, the stuff that hurt us. And that brings it back up. Like it's raw. It's like it's happening all over again. By the time I was supposed to go for like the third session with the group, I didn't go. I was like, I'm not going because I leave there more upset than when I went. So I do think what helped me the most was talking to other people. Eventually, I found some people to talk to. If they didn't have the answers, I didn't have the answers. And you know what? I didn't need to know why. All I needed to see was how can I lift myself out of this depression before I get to where I'm suicidal. I looked to books again, the good book, the Bible, and looked up stuff about depression. Well, King David, he went through periods of depression. What did he do? He listened to music, he danced. I can't sing nor dance. I do them both, but not well. But I like listening to music. So I would start listening to music back then, and I would listen if I came across a song that made me feel good, like evoked emotions. I would get the CD, or I might have even had some cassettes back then, and listen to that song over and over again. And I would visualize when I was alone and didn't have somebody to talk to, visualize that person talking to me. So my favorite song was True Colors by Cyndi Lauper. That girl sings with soul, her little crazy colored hair self. But that song spoke to my soul. So I looked it up and I remember. So the beginning lyrics, it starts with this haunting drum beat that really evokes emotions. And then the lyrics, the first set of lyrics are, you with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage. He was talking to me because when I looked at myself in the mirror, I was still sad. I was discouraged, but I needed to find my courage to move on and enjoy my life. So I would listen to that song repeatedly and dance around my house. It worked for King David. I'm counted with him. I am a child of God who doesn't have all the answers because we know King David did some shady things, even though God loved him. So I don't have all the answers. So if it worked for King David, I'm going to do that as well. So I would dance around singing these songs. Another song was by Bill Withers, Lean on Me. So I would imagine somebody talking to me, but and just it out afterwards, I would feel so uplifted. Yes, my friends still didn't talk to me when I finished my little music session. My mom still was not here, had died when I finished my music session, but it had lifted my spirits. It lifted me from concentrating on all the negative. And some people might look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, you're not being realistic. That's not the real world." I don't want to live in this real world. The real when I was in that situation of feeling depressed, yes, that was the real world. I wanted a new world. I wanted a new life. So that was what I had to focus on, things that brought me up out of that and would take me to the feelings that I wanted to have, feelings of being loved by a community. And then guess what? It manifested. The people on my job came and surrounded me, and then I had those feelings in the now. But I would manifest love and support through music and reading things and just putting those things in my mind instead of the great tribulation. Don't talk to them. You can't do this. I put the things that I wanted in my life. I wanted this friend that was like, I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So I would just imagine that over and over when it got heavy, because it gets heavy. I know it gets heavy on y'all. Please know that move on from it. You can't linger in it. Now, if some people, if that therapy of hashing it out works for you, remain in that therapy. It didn't work for me. I needed to start envisioning what I wanted my life to be. Everything I envisioned is coming into play. It's coming into now for me to see it.